Hey techies, welcome back to another segment of Tech Into at Curaçao Tech Meetups. And my guests for this session have like what we call home field advantage, if we can call it that, because these are some of the key players in Centrale Bank, and they played a key role in going for our transition from the Dutch guilder, the
Netherlands Antillean guilder.
Nederlands Antillean guilder to the Caribbean guilder. So my guests today, we have Jordan, Eleonore, and Soraya from Centrale Bank. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Eleonore just happened to finish her presentation. How did it go? Let's start with that, because the audience were clapping for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, awesome. It was 10 minutes actually. Yeah. No, it went very well, and it was very nice to speak about the Caribbean Guilder from another perspective. We've been doing a lot of information sessions before the introduction, and this presentation was from a different angle. The information sessions were more general about why we introduced the Caribbean Guilder, and a bit about, or not a bit, but more in general about the security features, but more focused on how you can authenticate your bill. And this presentation was a deep dive into one of the security features and the technology behind it. So it was nice to give a presentation from another perspective.
I have to say, big congrats on the achievement, because I can imagine the process from going from nationally from one type of currency to another currency must have been a very lengthy and stressful process.
Yes.
So that you guys are sitting here happy is, for me, is like amazing. So congrats, first of all.
Thank you.
So what were the biggest challenges you guys had for this transition?
Well, it was indeed a very long process. We've been working on it for almost 6 years. And well, you start from scratch. You have to come up with a team. And I think that was one of the biggest challenges, because it's a currency for two countries. And a currency is something that you, as a citizen, you have to feel proud. It's my currency. You have to recognize something of your culture in it. So, but since we're dealing with two different countries, you have Sint Maarten and Curaçao, each with their own identity, each with their own culture. It was, I think, the biggest challenge to find something that, unites the two countries, and that both people from both islands can recognize themselves in our new currency. So we had that for one, and then of course the transition for the digital payments, dus the elektronisch betalingsverkeer. That was something that was all the banks had to adjust their systems, and it was like a do or die. So it couldn't go this bank first and then tomorrow that bank. So it all needed to happen at the same time.
A big bang.
So yeah, so it was. I think those two were the biggest challenges, and also explain why we needed to introduce a new currency, because at first there was a lot of resistance, and it was a waste of money, and why we have the guilder, it functions well, so why do we have to do this? So that was at the beginning also quite a challenge.
So there was resistance, but I can imagine now that the process is behind you. What's the biggest compliment you guys have received from?
Wow, the biggest
people?
Compliment. Wow, that's a good question. I think that for us, we learned, it's kind of our babies. We've been working so long on it, but we realized that we're not doing it for ourselves. It's not for the project team, it's not for the bank, but it's for two countries. And the only thing you hope is that people will embrace it. And I think the day of the launch of the design, that was in August 2024, that was, I think, one of the biggest moments for us, because that was the moment when we revealed the design, and you only hope that people will love it. And then the next day, so we launched it, I think it was on a Thursday, and then the next day, it was all over social media, and everyone loved it. And then we were like, okay, phew, it's you know, that was something, you do it for the people, and to see that the people embrace it was, yeah, one of the I think most beautiful moments in all the years that I've been with the bank. Yeah.
We also got recognition internationally, right? We were
Also, yeah.
we got
Good
an
that you
award
mentioned
in
that.
Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, two awards, and
Two awards
for the
even,
coin
yeah.
and for the banknotes. Yeah. So yeah.
So now my next question is, I'm curious about the process, right? Because like you said, all the banks had to switch like this. So I think that's where Jordan played a very key role. So I'm wondering, what was the collaboration between you and Jordan in that regard? So what did it look like, that process?
Well, from our side, because I belong to a department called Department of IT, Cyber, and Operational Risk. And what we basically do is we supervise, from a regulatory point of view, we supervise all types of processes that have to do with change, that has to do with business continuity, that has to do with security, and those kind of things. With the coming of the XCG, it was highly challenging. Why do I say that? I say that because to get everybody on board on the same timeline can be quite chaotic, and to get everybody to agree to test their systems, to configure and test their systems according to a certain methodology, it's quite hard, because not all organizations are at the same level of when you test systems according to a certain quality standards. You test systems according to a certain quality standards because you want to ensure that when you have tested a system and have implemented it, nothing bad happens. So we needed to check with all the banks in this case if they had the right measures in place. Let's say if their systems would have a fallout, what do you do then? Have you trained all of your employees to know how to handle with the new builds? All the systems that support your critical processes, have they been changed, including their interfaces? Are they operating correctly to transfer, to process, and to transact XCG and not the old Gilder? Right, so all of that, we had, all in all, we had some resistance. We had to have a healthy discussion about that resistance. But in the end, we made it. Everybody got on board just in time for that change to take effect and for the deployment to take place as it had to. Yeah.
But we keep mentioning resistance.
If I can add on that, I think for me, that was also one of the things that I really liked about this project, that we worked together with so many different parties, and it's not only internally but also externally with the banks, the suppliers, and so many people on so many different levels, and we all worked towards one goal, and it was like a tight deadline. I mean, it was the 31st of March, and otherwise it was so. And then afterwards, to see that, you know, together it was a team effort, and that if you want something, you can reach it by working together. And that for me was something that I really, it stands out. So yeah.
So you feel that
really
it brought Centrale Bank like closer together as a
but not only the
unit?
Centrale Bank, also working together with the banks, the commercial banks, and other parties. I mean, the business community. Everyone had to be on board, and different stakeholders, all from with their own responsibility, and that's what we always said. It's not a thing, the CBCS thing. It's the community, it's the countries, it's so many different stakeholders, each from their own, with their own responsibility. But to see in the end that we reached that goal and we in fact did it together, that was, for me, something that
to be proud of.
Really,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Another thing that came out of this transition, I think, was the launch of the Innovation Center.
Correct, yes.
So, and I think, Soraya, that's your area of expertise.
Correct, yes. I'm the face of our innovation office. Our innovation office was launched last year in December 2024, at our annual FinTech conference. The bank decided that it needed to take a more proactive role in embracing financial innovation instead of looking away, because obviously it is the future and we are aware of our responsibility in maintaining a safe, sound, and stable ecosystem, because that's also within our mandate as a central bank. So we've set it up, as I've mentioned before. We are an all-female team. We're with 3 women at the moment, so we're pretty proud of that, because that is quite an achievement. There are not a lot of women leading, tech and innovation, especially not at the central bank. So we're pretty proud of that. We've been able to work on 2 legislative proposals, of which one has already entered into effect in July 1st. And that is the National Ordinance on the Supervision of Virtual Asset Service Providers. And we are still awaiting the enactment of the National Ordinance on the Supervision of Payment Service Providers. So those are the 2 things that we've also been actively working on.
Can you explain a bit about the legislation part? Because for us, we think Centrale Bank has the authority to decide what to do.
Yes, so
But I think there's more steps involved.
correct, yes. So basically what we do, what our department does, or what I do, we supervise the sector. So basically we, with the legislation or with contributing to the legislation, we wanted to actively contribute to the functioning of the ecosystem, to building an ecosystem and bringing the activities within our supervision, so that we can make sure that customers are safe, that there's financial stability that is maintained, and that we are here basically to guide the financial innovators, or at least change the perspective from the outside world, because there might be a perception that we are risk averse, because that is something that was also mentioned during our presentation. Like, okay, on the one hand, you guys do risk-based supervision and you're kind of risk averse, but on the other hand, you have an innovation office and you want to, encourage innovation. So how does that work? But yes, so now we're just putting ourselves out there, or at least, showcasing our innovation office, which obviously has the intention of getting to know financial innovators and helping them, guiding them through the process towards market entry. Yes.
I think we need a separate episode just for this, because I think we're rushing too fast around it. I think there's a much more bigger discussion to have around the Innovation Center and what actually the impact is for every young entrepreneur that wants to be more involved and wants to contribute as well, and how they can use the Innovation Center to achieve just that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find our information on our CBCS website. We have a dedicated page that's tailored toward innovation. And if you guys want to get in touch with us, or people listening would want to get in touch, please feel free to visit the website and reach out, and we'll be happy to get in touch and assist you. If you have an amazing idea and you want to market and scale it, we're here to help you achieve that.
I might have someone I will think about.
Okay, great.
So one thing, I've always been curious about one thing regarding bills, basically, because the XCG has a very beautiful design, and although it's beautiful, it can be copied. So how do we prevent someone with a fancy printer, basically, to make copies of it? And then we have a bigger problem on our hands. How do we?
Well, the Caribbean Guilder banknotes actually have we have 4 levels of security features, of which one is the public level, and there are actually 9 security features that are public. So you can only imagine there are 3 more levels that are not public. So if you think you can copy the bills, just go try and copy it. Just put it on a copier, and like I mentioned in the presentation, it's the security features cannot be printed, cannot be copied, and there are more security features in the notes that very difficult to
which one can you
counterfeit.
Elaborate a bit more on?
On the security features?
Because on the previous bill we had a shiny element.
Yeah, the gold foil.
The gold foil.
Yeah. Yes,
Does this
that for that time was very innovative.
Definitely.
But nowadays you can buy that gold foil on Alibaba and you just copy the NAF gilder, and then they used to bleach it and then print it over again, and then just get tape the gold foil on it, and then you had your note. The fake 100 guilder notes, the counterfeit notes, were actually very of very good quality. But the features of the Caribbean guilder are, it's very modern and very innovative and the latest technology. So I can say that it's, well, I won't say that it's not possible, but
let's not challenge people.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's very.
So which one can you give a bit more in-depth explanation of? Which one of these features?
We first of all, I would like to invite everyone to download the My Caribbean Guilder app, because in that app that's available for Android and for iOS, we dive deeper into all the security features, both the coins and the banknotes. So if anyone is listening and doesn't have the app yet, I can highly recommend to download that. And there we elaborate on the motion, the moving stripes, the security features with movement. We also have a spark feature on the Caribbean Guilder banknotes, which is a shell that has color changing ink. When you tilt the note, the color changes from blue to green. We also have a more traditional security feature, which is the watermark. And I think those 4 are the main security features that you look for when you authenticate a banknote, and that authentication actually happens in 1 second. So the features need to be easy to use but difficult to counterfeit.
And from a digital security, I'm not sure if Jordan can answer this one,
Yeah,
because we talk about the physical security aspect, but the digital security aspect. How does Centrale Bank ensure that digitally transactions and that kind of stuff are secure in order for it not to be intercepted and mangled with?
And that's a good question. What we usually look at when it comes to payment systems, transactions, and so on, it always has to do with configuration control on an access level. So there are certain international quality standards that we adhere to when it comes to access control on payment systems. And besides the access control, we look at the current type of threats that are relevant, specific to banks in this case, and the vulnerabilities that exist in the software that they use. So it's kind of like software is never without vulnerabilities. So every update can also be an introduction to a new vulnerability. So we have to keep ourselves also up to date through certain risk evaluations that we have the banks do so that they can scout the threat landscape and see what type of specific cyber attacks they are vulnerable to. So, and from that angle, we do this on a yearly basis. You have to imagine that, for example, currently I'm with 4 other colleagues, So we're 5 in total, and each of us have about 10 financial organizations in our portfolio that we need to go and do our examinations, regulatory examinations. And on a yearly basis, we check with them what they have done to implement security controls within their software, within their hardware, within their processes also, because it's always a dynamic interplay between people, processes, and technology. So the vulnerabilities can lie in any one of these 3.
You don't assess the people part, right? From your
We also assess the
Yeah?
people part. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because the people need to be skilled.
Definitely.
Yeah. Human beings are most of the time the weakest link. So a lot of cyber breaches, data breaches, are because of human beings.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the approach.
But does the central bank have a fixed architecture that they provide to the financial institutes, and they need to adhere to this architecture, or are they free to roam within the requirements and principles of Centrale Bank?
So we have a principal architecture which we use. That is a NOx system that has also now with now that we have, since I think it has been 2 years already, with instant payment. Before 2 years ago, when you had to make a payment or when you had to transact money to your neighbor or your family member, it took a day. It could take 5 days before you get the payment. Now it is within a few seconds, right? So that was possible because of a deployment that we did with an international vendor that allowed us to interface with their architecture, so that instant payment could be made possible. And all the banks within our community are connected to that infrastructure. So also that infrastructure has security requirements. So you should look at it as an end-to-end process that needs to be covered with a lot of controls all over the place, so that both that principal central architecture remains safe, and at the same time, we look at the financial organizations and also check if they are doing their part to keep it safe from their end. That's how we do it.
Yes. How do we adjust? So we have this architecture, right? How do you adjust for the innovation part of it? Because you have the architecture, but things keep changing the whole time. How do you ensure that you're not stuck in one way of doing things, and you're not allowing the banks to further develop their ecosystem?
No, the banks are always allowed to build their ecosystem. Do you have a specific motivation for this question?
Yes, because from an architecture point of view, we tend to think that architecture is set. So we cannot move within the architecture. But if it's about principles and not on a low level, as in this is how we do it on a low level, the banks, like you said, are still allowed to move within the ecosystem. So let's say if MCB decides to introduce a new payment system, does it hinder, or does it first need to come to Centrale Bank to verify if they are allowed to implement this new payment system or whatever? Or are they free to do it on only if they adhere to the security parameters that are set?
Okay, so it has a twofold answer. Yes, they do need to come to us. They do need to inform us of the change that they're going to do with that innovation, the reason for it. But nobody is stopping them from implementing as long as they show that they have covered the risks that are associated to this change. So as long as you manage, and that's the part that I wanted to add to what Soraya was saying. Yes, we are risk averse, but we cannot avoid all risks. So we have to accept some, and we have to manage some of the risk. So every technological implementation, every innovation that comes along, we need to go along with it if it is required, and that we where we see that the community is in need for that
Benefits
change.
from it as well.
Yeah, that benefits. So we can reap all the benefits from the technology, from the innovation, as long as we know how to manage the risk. And that's what the banks are also supposed to do. They're supposed to show, okay, we're going to do this change. These are the benefits and these are the risks, but we know how to manage the risks. This is how we're going to manage it. And if we see, okay, they have covered their base, yeah, then they get approval. They can go on. They can implement. They can deploy.
Okay, that sounds a bit how I assumed it would be as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, I need to let you guys go because ideally I would want to keep the session going. I have so many other questions I would like to ask, but I want to thank you for stopping by, and big congrats on the achievement again. Enjoy the rest of Curacao Tech Meetups, and maybe next time we can have a longer format conversation about everything regarding security, Caribbean Guilder, Innovation Center, because I'm curious as to how this unfolds in the future.
We could definitely have the conversation,
Yes.
and we'll probably be in a different place than we are today. So it might also be interesting to talk about the developments that we see next year or within the next year.
Definitely.
And
So
thank you for
Jordan,
the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much.
Jordan, Eleonore, Soraya, thank you for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.